Running a marathon is a mega achievement in itself. To be one of the fastest runners in that marathon is an even bigger achievement. It would be, however, if your entire attempt was legitimate. Today, we're going to talk about the time that somebody cheated a marathon and almost got away with it. Hello! Welcome to Brain Spill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and blatant cheating should not be encouraged by any means. Yes, I'm gonna climb atop my stallion and white knight this bitch. No one's cheating in here. Yes, whilst we shouldn't do it, there are plenty of people that do. And for something like this, to have the gall to even try and cheat your way through this, and to try and think that people wouldn't figure it out, is bold, to say the least. And today is no different. We are talking about the marathon fraudster themselves. Rosie Ruiz was a Cuban-American marathon runner, born in Cuba and then moved to Memphis, Florida in 1962, at the age of 8 years old. Clearly with a passion for running, Rosie would qualify for the New York Marathon in 1979, with an overall time of 2 hours, 56 minutes and 29 seconds, the 11th woman overall. This was enough for her to qualify for the Boston Marathon, and that is awesome. Really, really impressive. So what's with the controversy? Well, let's just say that this was a precursor for things to come. So yeah, even before we get onto the big fiasco itself, this was also not quite as clean cut as you'd think it would be, but we'll get there. This marathon run in particular would just be a taste for her. She originally missed the application period to even apply for the run on the New York Marathon in the first place, claiming to the race officials that she had terminal brain cancer. In an act of grace, she was permitted to run despite having missed the deadline. So yeah, I was going to praise the boldness of the cheating just by some little bit. The fact that somebody has the gall to even try it, there'd be a little slither of respect. But saying that, no respect. Fuck you. Anyway, whilst this wasn't known at the time, the race time she achieved to qualify for the Boston Marathon was not true either. Whilst she did run the race, months later it would be discovered that she actually took the subway, of all things, to the finish line and missed a big portion of the race. The sheer cheek of it. So, with the time that she got, she qualified for the Boston Marathon. And for those of you that don't know, this marathon race is probably one of the world's most well-known marathon races. As a matter of fact, the Boston Marathon is known as the world's oldest annual marathon, known as one of the world's best-known racing events. So to qualify for this is a pretty big deal. So, she ran the Boston Marathon on the 21st of April 1980, and adhered to, well, for a woman apparently dying of brain cancer, won the Boston Marathon's female category with a time of 2 hours 31 and 56 seconds. This time is incredible because this would have been the fastest woman to ever run the marathon, and this would be the third fastest time for a woman on any marathon ever. This is quick. And you know what? If it was all true, this would have been an incredible story. Somebody who had terminal brain cancer to beat the odds and become one of the most fastest women ever. I think it would have been, it would have been a pretty great story. Suspicions mounted on the legitimacy of the runtime, especially from the man who had just won the Boston Marathon himself, Bill Rogers, who upon speaking with her afterwards, noticed that she didn't share any of the intimate knowledge of the track that they'd just run, such as intervals and splits, something which a professional runner would be able to recall without any real issues. And for someone that had just won a marathon for women and to achieve a run time equal to any of the greats in the sport, she was surprisingly not out of breath. She seemed fine, actually. This was particularly strange. Just wander up and just dozy on in thinking, oh yeah, I've just won. No problem, no heavy breathing, no sweats. I'm bright as day. Well, upon further inspection, she also didn't share the same body tone and physique like many elite runners shared at the time. She didn't look like what you'd expect a Boston Marathon winner to look like, physique-wise anyway. You know, not because of the fact that I'm staring at people's thighs or anything, not normally anyway, but she was much less muscly than other people who shared similar times to her. Either this woman was superhuman, or there was a little bit more going on than we first realised. This all seemed a bit fishy, but what was even more fishy was for the eagle-eyes amongst you was that the time that she had in her New York Marathon and Boston Marathon times was 25 minutes quicker. This is unheard of. Her resting heart rate when tested was also a lot lower than that of a standard professional runner, which, after a marathon is very strange. When asked by a reporter why she didn't seem more fatigued after the grueling race, she said, "I got up with a lot more energy this morning." Sure. On top of that, many other runners didn't recall seeing her at many of the checkpoints, and many people that were watching the race didn't even see her when they were cheering the racers on. So, what the hell happened? New York City Marathon officials launched an investigation, and they basically couldn't find any sign of Rosie near the finish line. After digging further, and after assessing the evidence, it was determined by the New York City Marathon Committee to retrospectively disqualify Rosie, and claimed that there was absolutely no way that she could have ran the entire course. Shock horror. As a matter of fact, they even managed to get some eyewitness reports at Commonwealth Avenue during the race, where spectators saw her bolt out of the track and disappear into the crowd. So clearly, she, for some strange reason, didn't carry on with the race. And then she was seen much later, nearer the end of the track. So somehow, she got there using some form of taxi or subway or some form of public transport to be able to effectively skip a lot of the marathon to get this incredibly mega time. Either way, she didn't complete the race in its entirety. Not at the time she claimed anyway. Later in the same week, the Boston Athletic Association then disqualified her from the Boston Marathon, losing both her rankings and positions from those races. The true winners were announced, and Rosie was known from then on as a cheat. Was it worth it? Was it worth it, Rosie? All that fame and glory you could have had, just to make a few white lies and say that you had terminal brain cancer and that you were one of the fastest women to ever run a marathon. The hurdle was pretty high to achieve that, and to make everybody believe it. Just to give you an idea of the type of person we're dealing with, in 1982, just 2 years later after this incident, she was arrested for embezzling, which would be the equivalent of about $168,000 today, from the real estate company she worked for. So you'd think that maybe whoever hired her after being in the news and all that might have known the kind of person they were getting themselves in for. A liar and a cheat. But hey, you live and learn, I guess. As crazy as this story is, you'd be surprised, or maybe not so, that there are actually a lot of cheats in the sport at this time as well, as many people have been caught out for various different ways that they've cheated events, be it skipping the track, or using narcotics to improve performance, all those sorts of things. But either it doesn't happen quite as often anymore, or people have got so good at it that people just don't get caught as much these days. Whilst it still happens, it's not quite as rampant as perhaps it once was. And you know what? I just don't understand how people can get off at this. I mean, yes, you might be able to cheat and get away with it, and then get some great praise and award, everybody cheers, cool. But you must know deep down that you aren't that person. You haven't achieved that. And worst of all, you've taken that away from someone else who's actually really tried and trained to be incredible at that sport, and for some stupid reason you decided to cheat it. So for those out there who are cheating, stop it. Stop it. No. Bad. If I had a stick, I'd bonk you on the head right now. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas for topics you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. Work towards goals, people. Hard work, it can get you anywhere. So don't cheat, just keep going, work hard, and don't say you've got terminal brain cancer when you really don't. I think there are some pretty easy rules to follow. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.